I know in some country like Uganda, they have directorates or ministries of ethics and integrity. In US, for instance, they have Office of Government Ethics. What would you recommend for Ghana just to improve our public, the body that you serve as its chairperson?
I think, in all honesty, I'm not sure we need to create new ministries. After all, we just went through a period where we were saying we have too many ministries. So I wouldn't recommend that we create additional ministries. If you look at the constitutional mandate of Shraj, it's there. Really, and I started by saying perhaps we don't need more laws. Yeah. We need tougher implementation measures and making sure, just monitoring and ensuring that indeed we're implementing effectively. I think if Shraj could be looked at, their scope and their mandate is so broad that rather than create a new ministry, but they do. The anti-corruption unit handles most of these things. So when you're talking about anti-corruption, conduct comes in. Conflict of interest comes in. Abuse of power comes in. So we just need to fund them at the levels in terms of not just cash, but making sure that we've got people with the competencies and skills to do the job that's expected. All too often in this country, I think we create some of these ministries and so on, and we just put people there. My organization deals with HR, so this is an area that I would strongly suggest. If you put square pegs in round holes, I don't think the work gets done very well. We need to make sure that Shraj has its share of funding as required, and Shraj has the quality and the competencies, competent experts who can actually help us. They've done a lot of work, and maybe some of our listeners may be aware of things like the conflict of interest guidelines that they put out a few years back. As I mentioned earlier, the generic code of conduct that was put out. The last major effort I know that they've worked on has been the NACAP, National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, which was an effort to move from just the laws and the rulemaking into implementation, putting specific, simple examples. And so for me, Shraj needs to continue on the implementation side, rather than have us create another ministry, which may or may not do the job. I believe let's use the existing structures that we have, empower them, give them the necessary support, funding and otherwise, and make sure and hold them accountable. Because if you're just going to be giving us the money without the accountability, then it doesn't work. But expect that indeed we do the faithful reporting and we actually monitor the funds that are being given to us to ensure that we are getting the job done. And I think if we do that, for example, this NACAP came up with the idea that in the area of behavior, we probably need to be looking at the entire society. And, I remember when we were younger, we had the Civic for Boys and Girls, for example, which attempted to tell us some of these things about ethics and what the right thing to do and the right thing not to do. I don't think we have them now. No. Can we go back to that?
Will you recommend that?
I would strongly recommend that, because if you listen to the media and what we are hearing of juveniles getting into all kinds of scrapes, something isn't working. We need to be able to catch these young people at a much younger age and bring them upright. So that when they get to the matured age, hopefully they'll know the distinctions between the right and the wrong, which is what ethics is about. Conduct which is acceptable, conduct which we all agree as a society is the right thing to do if indeed we are to make progress. But if we wait till they are the age where they start committing these atrocious infractions and crimes, then we may have left it too late. So I think going back to the entire society. The churches, and Reverend, you are from that fraternity, I think the churches probably also could help. The churches could maybe focus on that. We have workshops in our churches. We have people coming to teach. It would be nice to have at least a plan where 2-3 times a year we have ethics, because I'm sure the churches also do have their ethical issues within that fraternity. So, and you are catering to the souls of so many that indeed, I think if we had the churches also coming in, we want the schools to come in, and the schools we're talking about from basic education, from, I would say, even from kindergarten. Because now the kindergarten people know sometimes more than what their parents know, because of social media and because of the internet and so on. So I think we need to look at every facet of the society, and somehow, if we all begin this conversation in earnest, and it's important, we cannot be placating ourselves and saying, yes, we've put out the quotes, yes, we put out we go to these seminars, but we don't ensure that indeed we're living it. Then we may not get the results that we're looking for, I'm afraid.